Greetings and salutations, hello, and Happy New Year. My name is Jake Query. That is Derek Schultz. What?
It's like January, what's today, January 10th or something?
Let me ask.
We still doing Happy New Year?
What was the last time we did this show?
January 2nd.
No, we didn't do a show on January 2nd.
Yeah, we did.
Did we?
Yeah. Today's the 9th, my man. The day after New Year's, we were in here doing a show. And you said Happy New Year to start that show.
Really?
So
I slept through that.
Bruce Schultz, and Dad, if you're watching, hi. He tells people, strangers that he sees on the streets, that he hopes Santa Claus was good to them until at least February 1st.
Right. That's good.
So
Folksy.
some expiration dates are longer than others. But yeah, I think Happy New Year.
For some reason, I was thinking this is the first time we've talked to people since.
Happy New Year expired last week.
Okay.
Yeah, like Friday last week.
But if you have not seen somebody since the New Year, it's appropriate. So for those who didn't see us last week, who had normal lives, and unlike the two of us, we're doing things on January 2nd.
People watch this show every
Happy
week.
New Year.
People watch this show every single week.
It is a new year for the Indianapolis Colts because the old year is over with. Their season has come to an end after a disappointing loss to the Houston Texans at the hands, really, of C.J. Stroud, who was really, really solid for a rookie quarterback. And then in the end, the Colts had a chance to potentially win the game or force overtime. That fell short. We will discuss that. Big news for the Indiana Pacers. Tyrese Haliburton, some point over the course of the day in which we are recording this, we'll find out just how severely he might have been injured in a Pacers home court loss to the Boston Celtics. And we have a new national champion in college football, with the Boston Celtics. They lost to them on Saturday. But the big news is obviously the Colts, Derek, and that time of year where you look back and you say, okay, was it a failure, a success, and where do you go from here?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I have to be consistent. We talked last week that even if there was a loss, and while that would be disappointing, and it certainly was to Houston to come that close, that the season was a successful one, and I still feel that way. I think the problem, Jake, is that what bleeds into this conversation is that this is now really 9 straight years of go nowheresville for the Colts, right? They've missed the playoffs in 7 of those 9 years. They haven't won the division in any of those 9 years. The only year that they were the best team in the division was 2018, really, when they went to Houston and they smacked the Texans in the wild card round, and that is their only playoff win in that time. So I think that bleeds into the conversation because fans are tired of these games and these moments, the Colts coming up short, and that's what happened. Again, they came up short, just like they came up short in 2015 in a December home loss to Houston, in 2016 in a December home loss to Houston, and in 2021 in an embarrassing road defeat to Jacksonville. And on all 3 of those teams are in a division that Colts fans grew up becoming accustomed to, the Colts dominating, right? And so there's some frustration that's there. But I honestly believe, and you can tell me if you disagree with this, when the smoke clears on this season, 2023 will be looked back upon favorably.
Oh, I would agree with that.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. The weird thing about this year, Derek, the Colts season kind of was, I always say this, you've heard me say it 14 times or however long we've done this. More often than not, when a team loses a game that ends its season, the loss that ends it is a microcosm of the season in whole.
Yeah.
And that particular game, in a vacuum, you are so disappointed by the play or the lack of execution on the 4th and 1 that would have kept them alive and maybe won the game for them. But when you really step back and look at it, there were some things that you could be pleased with. The season in general, you are in a vacuum disappointed with the way it ended. But when you really look back at it and where you were at the beginning of the year and what you anticipated this year was going to be, this year was going to be nothing more than hand the keys over to Anthony Richardson, put the bumper car bumpers on it, and make sure that he doesn't completely wreck the car.
And go 5-12, right?
Correct.
And go 6-11.
The one area, and they, to their credit, they exceeded that expectation of record in the record they were able to put together. The thing that you have to now wonder if it could potentially be a disappointment is, and this sounds weird, did they screw it up of being kind of too competitive and putting themselves now into a more difficult position for next year, which is really do-over of the year for Anthony Richardson to get his feet wet.
Yeah, and I think we kind of touched on this, right, a couple of weeks ago in a show when we were kind of discussing where the season was. It's funny that you say that because, and this is not a self-plug, even though I self-plug myself all the time. It is Query and Schultz.
What we do away from this show is entirely your business. I don't know that anybody needs to know it.
Okay, well, I'm going to say it anyway because we co-own the show. So as co-owner, I have some carte blanche to do what I want here. The column that I'm writing for the IBJ, Indianapolis Business Journal, this week deals with exactly that, where I think 2023 can be meaningful, but only if 2024 is a big leap forward. Like 2023 was laying the foundation for, hopefully, what's to come for the Colts. So they'll waste this season if next season they turn around and they go 9-8 again, or 8-9, or even worse, right? It has to be progress, and the Colts have to move forward from here, and there are going to be real expectations attached here with Anthony Richardson. I think in year 2, fairly or unfairly. Now he's only got 10 quarters under his belt, but this is a team with Jonathan Taylor back with a long-term extension. Michael Pittman Jr. is going to be back with a long-term extension. I can't imagine that they're going to let him walk out the door. Quentin Nelson, Braden Smith, all these core pieces. DeForest Buckner,
at the one
Zaire
area,
Franklin.
Let me cut you off real quick. The one area where I'm going to disagree with you, when you say Michael Pittman Jr. is going to be back with a long-term extension, the first half of that statement I think is definitive. Maybe under the franchise tag. That's a distinct possibility.
Yeah,
and he knows that.
I don't think they want to get into that sort of situation again like they did with Taylor. I think they feel like they just went through it last year. Pittman has shown that he's going to tell you what he thinks if he's not happy. So he's not going to be happy playing with the franchise tag.
He said differently than that, though. He basically said, hey, look, the tag's around $23 million. I mean, I'm not going to roll my eyes at $23 million if that's where it heads, but I owe it to myself to hear what's
you remember what Jonathan Taylor said back in like April and May and June, right? And then what he was saying in July. So I think when the rubber hits the road, those and you're right, and I think he's taking the high road there. But when the rubber hits the road, I expect those things to kind of change. But still, that's a situation that they have to iron out, right? Julian Blackmon, Grover Stewart. I mean, you've got key, crucial players that are free agents, and they're gonna. Tyquan Lewis is a key player for them, right? Yeah. I think they would like to bring him back. Kenny Moore. etc. But the core of this team largely is going to be back, and it'll be, if you can believe it, year 8 for Chris Ballard. And at some point, you got to get things. As long as things are moving forward, I'm on board. Like, I'm okay. Okay, Colts, I believe in this plan. Let's go. But the second this thing turns backward again, there are no more U-turns. Colts used up all their U-turns. They took a U-turn when Luck retired, which is fine, right? That's an understandable U-turn to take. But they took a U-turn at the end of the Wentz thing. They took a U-turn at the end of 2022. No more U-turns. This can't go backwards again. This has to keep moving forward.
Yeah, it does feel like they have, and a big part of this is Shane Steichen. It feels like they have some stability and some footing.
Yeah,
and that
I agree.
They have a plan, right? It feels like there is a vision of where they want to go. And I thought Shane Steichen this year, as you take a look at him there, I thought Shane Steichen this year, for the most part, yeah, there were some areas that you can question. You can question throwing to a guy that's only had 6 catches all year on the biggest play of the season, or at least in that moment, the biggest play of the season to that point. But Shane Steichen, I thought, was a guy that seemed prepared. He seemed poised. He seemed to be a good guiding hand. There are 2 ways to look at it. You can say he's a coach that I love the fact that he was no nonsense and he held guys accountable. That's one hand you can look at it. You can be a cynic on the other hand and say, well, then why are there guys that need to be like disciplined under a coach that is holding guys accountable? Whichever way you want to look at it. But I thought for a guy in his first year in the National Football League, he looked like somebody who was ready for the moment and had been there a while.
Yeah, he was great.
And that's encouraging.
Yeah, they have their coach. I'll say that definitively. They have their coach. I think / hope they have their quarterback. And those are the 2 biggest keys to this whole thing.
I think they have their quarterback. The question is for how long?
Or are there going to be extenuating circumstances, the health, that get in the way?
That's what I mean when I say for how long.
That kind of get in the way of that. It's been dissected ad nauseum now. I mean, we're taping this on early Tuesday morning, and the game happened Saturday night, and it got dissected all day Sunday and all day Monday. But I do think, since this is the first time with us discussing it, we should talk about the 4th and 1. just to kind of give an outlook on that, Steichen is a great play caller. He's very gifted schematically, and he schemed up a play that should have worked. But I think it was pretty telling what you said there, Jake, where, a microcosm of the season, the Colts needed to rely on Gardner Minshew to make just one play, one play, a fairly simple play. And he couldn't make it. And that's the reason why he's not a starter in this league outside of when he's forced into that role, like he was this year. And I think for all the talk about Goodson, who, let's face it, Tyler Goodson is he handled it wonderfully, and I'm rooting for him. He's a practice squad level player. I'm not sure Tyler Goodson belonged on the active roster on Saturday night, much less on the field in the game's most critical play. Say what you want about, well, it was a layup. I don't know if I want the worst player on the field taking the layup. Regardless, the layup couldn't get attempted because the throw was bad. We concentrated on the drop. That wasn't a drop. He twisted into a pretzel.
Correct.
Just to get his hands on that ball. It was a bad ball from Minshew, and it ended up costing them their season. They had relied on these Zach Moss, Minshew, Ronnie Harrison Jr., Nick Cross. You had relied on these guys, Will Mallory, for so long this season, and they had come through for you. But when you're relying on backups like that, eventually that carriage turns into a pumpkin, right?
To me, on the 4th and 1 play, and you're right. I mean, it feels like old news by now, but it's the first time we've had a chance to talk about it. On the 4th and 1 play, to me, it's as simple as this. When you have your season potentially on the line, and there's no guarantee if they get that first down that they go on and score to win the game, but it surely gives you a better, it keeps you alive. I go with the play that has the fewest opportunities for failure. And a pass play, I don't care how short it is, has the following outcomes. It can be completed. It can be incomplete. It can be intercepted. It could be, you could have a sack, or it can be completed and stop short. Of those 5, one of the 5 is a positive scenario. If you run the football, it can be carried for a first down. It could be stopped short, or it could be a fumble. 3. 2 out of 3 of those are negative as opposed to 4 out of 5. Mm-hmm. I take my percentages by running the ball. And I have to admit, as I'm sitting there watching that play about to unfold, I'm thinking to myself, the building they're playing in has huge multi-story tall banners at the beginning of the season of 4 players. One of them is no longer with the franchise, and the other 2 one is getting $17.5 million this year against the cap to block, and the other is on the sideline and had 188 yards in that game. Now, why would you not give the ball to the guy that got you 188 yards and run him behind the guy that you're paying $17.5 million against your cap? Might be because he wasn't healthy at that point in the game, and I'm talking about Jonathan Taylor.
Yeah.
But I would go with, if nothing else, if I can't go with that horse and I can't dance with that with he who brought me there, then I'm at least having him on the field to have defenses go, uh-oh, and they've got to pay attention to it a little bit. Neither here nor there. If ifs and buts were candy and nuts, we'd all have had a Merry Christmas, but that is a play certainly that they probably would like to have back.
The fact that he ran out of bounds, which I know he didn't want to, and the Colts absolutely did not want him to do on the 2 previous runs, indicates to me that he couldn't cut.
Yeah.
I think, he started going that way, and I don't think he could. I wonder, Jake, if he got back out there and the adrenaline got him through the first couple of plays, and then when that wore off, the pain just kind of took over. Now, Taylor didn't say that. Right? And he didn't want to use that as an excuse, but I wonder how banged up he was. But, yeah, look, it's harder to hide behind, it's execution when you're asking a backup quarterback to make a throw to your 4th-string running back. And people can say all they want. Well, he's a professional football player. Yeah, I still don't want to throw in, Jordan Nwora cold off the bench for a wide-open jumper. He's a professional player. He should be able to make a wide-open jumper, but he's been on the bench all day, and he practiced it all week. Yeah, 3 weeks ago, he was on your taxi squad.
Right.
I think it's okay to say that the play call was fine. and that Minshew is the culprit here. The throw was bad. That's what nuked the play. But I do think that it's okay to question the personnel decision of having arguably the worst player on the field. No offense to Tyler Goodson, but let's face it, right? The worst player on the field, and asking them to execute.
He's caught 6 balls this year. He's been involved. He's touched the ball 19 times.
Yeah.
He has, between college and his NFL career, he has 76 total receptions.
He's your pass-catching back. It's kind of like saying, well, he's our free throw shooter. Yeah, he's an 80% free throw shooter. Yeah, he's hit 4 of 5. He's attempted 5.
Right.
His entire career. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I don't want to get hung up on it because I think that took over the conversation, and then it became all about Steichen, and it became all about Goodson when really it should have been about Minshew. And I tip my hat to Gardner Minshew because the Colts aren't in that position, right? If he doesn't gut it out. I think Gardner Minshew's 2023 to me is a lot like Jacoby Brissett's 2019, where I think he deserves credit for gutting out a difficult situation for a backup to be thrust into, because that's what he was. Jacoby Brissett is not a starting quarterback in this league. He's a backup. Gardner Minshew is a backup. And they did pretty well, all things considered. But at critical moments of each season, they showed you what their limitations were and why they were backups.
Do you believe in the football gods?
Sometimes, yeah.
The football gods looked at the 2023-2024 Indianapolis Colts, and here's what they said. They said, it's a nice story. Here's a franchise that has gone through some turmoil. We delivered them what we thought was a really nice gift, and that gift expired early, and that was a surprise to all of us. And they kept, gosh darn it, they were nice guys that kept giving opportunity out of the goodness of their heart to guys that were 105 years old. So we, the football gods, now that they finally decided that they were just going to go ahead and bite the bullet and give a young guy an opportunity, we, the football gods, said, we're here to help. And when that young guy got hurt, we delivered him a guy that we said, he's got some football in him. And then we helped out. And we made sure that with each game they played, they went against the other team's backup quarterback. And we made sure that with each time the ball bounced, it bounced in their favor or stayed in bounds when they needed it to, or went out of bounds when the other team needed it to stay in. And we did everything we could. But we, the football gods, don't believe in determining the finality of games. So we brought everything we could to a certain point to deliver for this franchise. But then when it came down to it, we said, we, the football gods, are objective. And we're going to let the end of this game play out as the law of averages say that it should. And the law of averages say that Gardner Minshew had a good year and a solid year. But the law of averages dictate that eventually you're going to find out why he is not your everyday starter in the NFL. And that's what happened.
I mean, more than football gods, I believe in vibes.
Yeah, well, you exude those.
And I do. And the vibes were good. The vibes were good all week last week. Like I think I said on the show, I was very confident that the Colts were going to win. Even when they had the ball at the end, I was confident that they were going to win. And then, you know, the thing about vibes is that vibes are permanent in some cases, but vibes can go. Vibes can come and go.
What vibe do you exude?
Oh, just like we talk about on the show, just like a sexy, confident.
You're wearing a Garanimal shirt.
Just like a coolness. People want to be me.
By the way, I have no idea if people want to be Derek, but people have expressed an enthusiasm about continuing to partner with us, and we want to sincerely thank them. Notably, in starting 2024, we could not be more thrilled than to say that we are once again going to be partnering with our friends at Bailey & Wood. And Bailey & Wood, who have been outstanding partners for this program, but also outstanding neighbors for those that they're helping get a new home, first home, stay in the home, whatever it might be, and keeping their money philanthropically right here in central Indiana. BAWFG.com, is that right, Derek?
Yes, that's right. BAWFG.com, 855-350-HOME. Can't thank Mike and Bailey and Chad, and there are too many people to name. I mean, they've grown so much from that strip mall on 31 in Whiteland to where they are now with, I think, 19 branch locations in Indiana alone. But, yeah, we all these – everybody that's on this table has played a big role in this show's success, and we not only value them as sponsors but as friends.
Totally.
We really do. And Bailey & Wood are the best in the business.
And it is honestly, it is a privilege to be able to talk about Bailey & Wood because of how much I believe in what they do not only in getting people the best mortgage rates and working with them and that exciting process of becoming a homeowner, but also just seeing all of the impact that they have throughout different groups, organization, education groups, throughout the primarily south side of Indianapolis, but all of central Indiana. So happy to be on board.
Before we get to our Sando and another great sponsor whom we love, one last thing I wanted to touch on with the Colts is Gus Bradley, because I think that's kind of one of the, hey, what's going to happen?
It's not going anywhere.
We talked about the free agents. I know Shane Steichen essentially, we're taping this again on Tuesday, essentially gave him a bit of a vote of confidence, I think, right?
He did.
Where he said something about continuity and that being important to him. But then again, Marcus Freeman said that at the end of the Notre Dame season, and then they let go of their receivers coach and their OC walked, and you know what I mean? There were some changes, so that doesn't shut the door. I think Bradley, one thing I'll say about Bradley, I think he made, and I used this term before on this show, some chicken salad out of chicken bleep.
I would agree with
people that wanted him to blitz, that secondary was one of the worst in the NFL. So you blitz, you open that up to getting exposed. And like the game like the Cincinnati game, I don't think there was anything they could do. The Atlanta game was one that kind of stuck with me. I think they should have changed things up. And they just kind of let Atlanta have their way with them. So that was one complaint that I had with Bradley. You can talk me into them moving on and Steichen picking his own guy and wishing him well, but I don't think, like some people, I don't think Gus Bradley has done a poor job. I think he's done actually a pretty good job, all things considered.
Derek, I think their defense has a really good linebacker in Zaire Franklin. I think it has an elite level lineman in DeForest Buckner, who's really good. And then it has a bunch of other guys that are good to average.
And the pass rush showed signs, right? We wanted to see the pass rush. Now, the problem with the Colts pass rush is that it's collectively. Like everybody's got 8 or 9. I mean, I think Dio is the best of that group, but you would rather have somebody have just kind of blown up and had 13 sacks this year.
To be honest with you, the Colts defensive pass rush unit kind of feels like the AFC if you remove Baltimore and Kansas City and Miami. There's a bunch of good, but there's no real blowout. You know what I mean? On a given day, Pittsburgh can look pretty good. On a given day, Cleveland can look pretty good. On a given day, the Texans can look pretty good. But there's nobody that blows you away.
Yeah. Like Kwity Paye on paper, you're like, oh, yeah, okay. Right. And then you watch him and you're like.
He's Jacksonville. He's Jacksonville, right? On certain days, you're like, wow, okay.
Like, he's okay.
Other days, you're like, he played this week?
I'm willing to keep watching Kwity Paye, but I'll be honest, I'm a little disappointed that he hasn't shown more.
I would
for somebody
agree with
that was supposed to be
selected,
the best pass rusher in the class. Let's get to our Sando. It's
a sandwich.
Look, Hoagies and Hops Hoagie.
I wanted to heat mine up. You didn't give me that opportunity? It's okay.
Like making a tuna melt?
Yeah, I was kind of hoping to.
Okay. Well, I like them cold. You can get hot Sandos as well.
Can I go
at
can
Hoagies
I go heat
and
mine
Hops?
up?
If this isn't your favorite sandwich, that's fine. This might be the best looking sandwich. Looking Sando. Look at that. That Christina has here.
Is this based in mayonnaise?
Well, it's tuna salad, Jake. So what do you think you make tuna salad with?
I don't know.
God, I'm dealing with a freaking idiot on the show. Shaved onion, peppadew pep, tomato, shredded lettuce, house-made tuna sal, delicioso, really, really good. Prove, secret, little parm. Little parm on your tuna Sam. So let's try it here. It's called the Shipyard. I don't know why I'm like leaning back like this.
Why do you speak in weird slang when discussing their products? Oh, don't you think she probably wants you? You didn't give me any of the oil.
You don't like oil.
Yes, I do.
You do? Okay. Here. I'm going to put some extra on mine. I don't want to get on my pants, though.
Yeah, I wouldn't want you to stain your Dockers.
There you go. So this is the Shipyard. Very, very good. You've heard me sing the praises of the tuna sandwich before. Really, really good. It's just a good-looking Sando as well, but it's delicious when you bite into it, too. Chili Water Brew of the Week. Mama tried, just like the Colts tried to get in the playoffs and win the division on Saturday night, and we toast them for trying. Mama Tried is their dark Mexican lager, so we had the
I like that
Cerveza-style Santeria last week, and now we went dark because the Colts season
more
went
of an
dark.
amber.
Yeah, very good.
Chili Water knows what they're doing.
Oh, yeah. That's good.
Smooth, right?
Yeah. We actually had this a couple of weeks ago, and I forgot how good it was. Really, really good. Hero of the week, I think this is easy. It never was the season that Jonathan Taylor envisioned for himself or anybody else did for him, right? You had the messy contract dispute to start the year. You had the injuries pop up again. I thought Saturday night was a reminder of who he can be and what he can represent for this franchise and why the Colts paid him. It sucks that heel injury might have taken him from getting that extra bit that needed to get the Colts over the finish line. Because I really believe with a healthy Taylor, maybe even a healthy Braden Smith, who was eating people up in that game, that the Colts go on to win. But I saw some statistic from our buddy Stephen Holder that in elimination games, like win and in games, so like the 21 game in Jacksonville and I think the 20 game, whatever that season finale was, that they had to secure that wild card. And then Saturday night, he's got something like 350 yards. So he has really played well in the Colts' biggest moments. You know, the 21 game against New England, people remember.
He put an onus on himself and he delivered, right?
Yeah, I mean, he really – they couldn't throw. They could not throw the ball. Gardner Minshew picked a bad time for one of, if not his worst game of the year, and the only reason the Colts were in that position because they strapped themselves to the back of Taylor.
They did.
Really. So a heroic performance, albeit in a loss for the Colts. 42nd and Boulevard, catering, full menu, hoagiesandhops.com, Chili Water Tap Room. We got to watch a game in there.
Yeah, it'd be nice.
At some point, and go see everybody and maybe get a couple of Mama Tries on tap.
I guess that's to be an Eagles game, right? Now that.
Yeah, we'll see. In fact, we'll talk about what's kind of a NFL playoff schedule.
By the way, Derek, I have a hero of the week as well.
Oh, you do? Okay. Go for it. It's Corey.
Yesterday, we're taping this on Tuesday, by the way. Yesterday, when I was at work, it was announced about 2 o'clock in the afternoon on a Monday that Indianapolis had lost an absolute icon, one of the real voices for, in particular, the urban community within Indianapolis and a legend on WTLC. And I'm talking about, somebody that when you think about people who are from a city and want to make an impact on a city, Jerry Wade did exactly that. Now, it would be probably dishonest of me to sit here and say that I've known Jerry Wade for a long time. I did not. But Jerry Wade has long time been an evening voice and disc jockey on WTLC in Indianapolis, but more so than that, a critically important piece, part, and just kind of a vibrant leader of belief for, in particular, the African-American community of Indianapolis. And I first met Jerry, really the only time that I met Jerry, a couple of years ago when our mutual friend, Emily Longnecker, who works at WTHR, called me and said, "Hey, what are you doing this Friday?" And I said, "I'm not doing anything." "Why?" And she said, "Oh, you got to come out for the dance party on Friday afternoon." And I said, "Well, you got to tell me more about that." And she said, "Well, there's a facility on the east side of Indianapolis called the Quality Life Adult Daycare Services, which is a place where people can go, whether they are simply aging, whether they are looking for fellowship, whether they're looking for other people who have had some sort of challenge that they're overcoming. It is a place where people can go and get services, and Jerry Wade knew about that and would go out on Fridays and do a dance party. This was a prominent radio disc jockey that was opening up the turntables and getting senior citizens and people of all ages there at the facility to have their own dance hour, to have their own fun, to get out there and to be the star of the show for a day. And folks looked forward to it all week. You could see the smile on their face. And I said, "Man, it's great that Jerry does this." And Emily said, "No, Jake, you don't understand. He does this every single day. He does a different event with these folks every single day, Monday through Friday, before going in and performing his actual job, which is as a radio host and somebody that people have been listening to for the better part of 4 decades in Indianapolis." But he did it because he believed in the people of Indianapolis and wanted to give back to the people of Indianapolis. He is somebody that made a huge name for himself within the industry that Derek and I have made a living in, the radio industry. But at no point did Jerry Wade ever seemingly do that because he wanted to elevate the name of Jerry Wade. He did it because he wanted to elevate the name of Indianapolis and the people that lived within it, which in my opinion is what we should all within our profession aspire as its ultimate task and goal for the craft in which we work. Jerry Wade passed away seemingly peacefully at the age of, I believe, 63. But in terms of the way that he lived his life in Indianapolis, absolutely heroically for the people here in this town. A lot to get to, including, as Derek had mentioned, the NFL playoffs, and we'll do that next when we return to Query and Schultz.
Nice snap.
Mortgage is a snap. Duh.
Bailey and Wood, a lending hand for Wish TV Sports.
Hey, AC.
Nice snap.
Mortgage is a snap. Duh.
Bailey and Wood, a lending hand for Wish TV Sports.
Welcome back. We're in Schultz, ISC Sports Network. I'm still kind of getting used to. I know the playoffs have been expanded now for, 17 games and started the 2020 season, right?
Yeah.
I think, yeah. So this is year 4 of it. It's still a little weird to me to be like, 2-seed Buffalo against 7-seed Pittsburgh. Like I was so used to the 1995 to 2019 format of the top 2 seeds getting a bye and the divisional and all of that. I'll say, and I think this is more of a reflection on just where we are this season. Not many of these games intrigue me.
I would agree.
There is a nostalgia to Dallas hosting Green Bay. I think there's just something about those two franchises.
It's a coaching matchup there.
Kansas City, Miami was a really disappointing game in Germany a couple of months ago. I want to say that was in October, and it did not live up to the hype. I'm actually weirdly intrigued with Houston and Cleveland, this whole Flacco thing.
I agree.
And C.J. Stroud hosting. The rest of the games I could take or leave. You couldn't pay me to watch Tampa Bay play Philly. Philly is backsliding right now, and Tampa Bay stinks.
Hoagies and hops, chili water, Eagles, viewing party. Fine.
I love Christina and I love Hoagies and hops, but you know that, like, I hate the Eagles.
Yeah, but you don't hate the Mama Tried.
No. I love our sponsors and all of that, but like growing up, when I was still a fan, second only to the Red Sox would be Philly.
The Baker Mayfield I
grew up a Giants fan.
The Baker Mayfield-led Tampa Bay Bucks are without question the most obscure playoff entry.
And he's had a nice season.
How many? I know.
Yeah.
How many people in the NFL? Give me 4 franchises top of your head not named Tampa Bay Bucks. Go.
Carolina Panthers, New Orleans Saints.
Aside from everybody in their division, but go ahead.
Okay, we didn't say that. New York Jets.
Okay.
And
Arizona Cardinals.
Washington Commanders. Yeah.
Okay, those teams.
Yeah.
How many of their fans? What's the total number of snaps they saw this year of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers?
Yeah, unless they played one another, right? Yeah. No, you're right.
I mean, did you see a single highlight of Tampa Bay all year?
No. I saw him play the Colts.
What number is Baker Mayfield wearing? 5?
I don't know.
Because you
is he wearing 6 just like you wore in Cleveland?
6, maybe.
Is he wearing 6? Yeah, he is. Okay, he's wearing 6.
Okay.
Is that his
and he's
thing?
had a good year, to your point.
He's been fine.
They've been solid, right? Yeah. This Baker Mayfield Bucks team feels like Phillip Rivers and Indy, right? Mm-hmm. Solid. Maybe they win a game. We'll see. Maybe they go. Who knows, man? I mean, I haven't seen enough of them to even know. But I would agree with you. The thing to me that's interesting is probably the 2 sexiest selling points about so far wild card weekend would be Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs and the high-flying Dolphins, and it's not even on network television.
I know, yeah, it's streaming, yeah. Even though I locked into Peacock on their Black Friday deal, I paid $20 for the year. The whole year, $20.
Okay.
I mean, it's a great deal. We watch The Office and Parks and Rec and all that stuff too. And the entire Harry Potter collection is available on Peacock, which you can stream, which is, I mean, that pays for the $20 right there. We just watched Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix the other night during Christmas break. And we're going to watch Half-Blood Prince and then probably Deathly Hallows this weekend. I don't know. I don't know if we're going to have time.
It's a TV show or what?
No, it's a movie series. Well, it's a book series based on the book Harry Potter.
That's that kid's book.
No, it's not. It's not a kid's book. Actually, no, that's false. It is a human being book for people from ages 0 to 99.
They're like huge, right? They're like big, thick books. You listen to them on tape?
Yeah, I listened to all the audiobooks. Yeah, they were really, really great. It was about 200 hours worth of listening, but it was completely and totally worth it. Calling the Super Bowl right now, since, I don't know, we do predictions? Like, it's very, like, sports radio. Hey, Wolfie, what's your prediction for the Super Bowl? And I'm not just saying, I'm not a big momentum guy going into the playoffs. I think Buffalo is becoming what we thought they were going to be. I think
legit,
Buffalo's going to come out of the AFC, and I felt all along that San Francisco, I really hope it's not Dallas. But and I really I would be shocked if it was somebody outside of the Niners or Cowboys in the NFC. I really would. I'd be shocked. It's a league full of parity, and it's a single elimination playoff, but I'll take San Francisco, Buffalo.
I would love nothing more than for the Super Bowl to be the Detroit Lions
against the
and
Browns.
the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah, wouldn't that be great?
I would love it.
That'd be great.
One of those two is going to get there. And unfortunately, the Detroit Lions, who have been waiting 30-plus years for another playoff win, are going to see their former number 1 overall pick, Matthew Stafford, finally get a playoff win in Detroit. Because Stafford and the Rams are going to come in and shock Detroit. And the Cleveland Browns are going to be the underdog carrier, and they're going to stun the AFC world. The Browns defense gets them in, and they take on the Dallas Cowboys.
I have somebody in my household who would be very, very happy with that.
Can you imagine?
When Browns went to the Super Bowl.
Is he still all in on the Browns?
Oh, yeah. He was devastated that they lost this week, and I was like, buddy, they rested everybody. Like, I was trying to explain to him like what a laydown game was, and it's not quite, he's not
How
7
devastated
yet.
was he?
Oh, like on the verge of tears. Like really, really upset. What, Daddy, the Bengals have been bad this year. What happened? And I'm like, no, like they weren't trying. What do you mean they weren't trying? You're always supposed to try your best. Well, yes, you're supposed to try your best, but
the
you know
first
what I mean?
first NFL game I ever attended, Cleveland Browns at Cincinnati
That's
Bengals.
right, yeah.
Yeah.
And because, well, I shouldn't say Lloyd.
Still have the ticket stub.
Yeah, Mr. Query wanted to take you to the closest NFL game, and
That's right.
the Colts weren't here yet, right?
That's right.
So that must have been fun. That would have been at Paul Brown Stadium?
Riverfront.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, Riverfront.
I thought, for some reason, they always played at Paul Brown. Did they actually build that?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Riverfront.
I didn't know that.
Rakestraw would be able to help me out here, but I would say Riverfront was torn down. And what do we say, Greg? 2001?
No. I know the Reds played there through whatever. I thought the Bengals always played.
No,
at,
they played in
2000?
the cookie cutter stadium. Yeah,
I guess I should have assumed that, right? Because
all those stadiums.
yeah,
Three Rivers, the Vet.
Yeah.
They're all
Oakland
the same.
Coliseum,
Yeah.
the whole deal. Where you had multi-purpose, right?
Yes.
Let's move on to the Pacers. That's the other big news, and we've been lucky on this show since we moved to Tuesdays. I feel like there have been like big news events happening on Monday night, and again, taping this Tuesday morning. Last night, Tyrese Haliburton slips, falls awkwardly. Thankfully, it doesn't appear to be some like career-altering or season-ending type injury.
At the time that we are recording this, and by the time people are watching this, hopefully we will know more information. But we are optimistic because it appears, at first I thought it was going to be an Achilles.
Yeah.
But he did grab his hamstring.
We haven't gotten the MRI results
Correct.
yet.
He's going to have an MRI, but we do know from Rick Carlisle that he walked out under his own power yesterday.
Yeah.
So that's good news. That Haliburton. Not Rick
What
Carlisle.
sucks is that, and I don't remember exactly when it was. I think it was a little bit later in January, but remember he had that injury at the Garden, right, in New York.
Yeah.
And it completely nuked. The Pacers were hovering around 500 at that point, and then they ended up losing like 17 of 19, remember, without Haliburton. They can't survive not having him. I know they won, and they came back, and kudos to TJ McConnell and everybody for rallying against the Jason Tatum-less Boston team, but you can't sustain that long term and not have Haliburton. So let's hope that it's 2-3 weeks and not,
Right.
2-3 months. Because I guess that
They got a tough road trip coming up. They go to Atlanta, and then from Atlanta they go to like Denver.
A bunch of West teams, yeah.
Denver, Phoenix, Portland, Sacramento, Salt Lake, in no particular order.
I saw a serious hamstring, like torn off the bone, would be 10 weeks. I don't know if that's accurate or not, but so that's kind of what we're
we'll say
looking at
4 to 6 to be safe.
Yeah,
I have no idea.
Let's hope that it's not more serious than
Right.
that. But they're playing really good basketball right now. They've kind of
They are.
they went through the lull post in-season tournament and have come back and done really well. And I would hate to see them.
They've managed
hurt
to
that.
find the balance, Derek, of tightening their defense and not compromising their offense.
Yeah. I'm with you there. Let's get to our Love That Play. Brought to you by our friends at Love Heating and Cooling. Love-HVAC.com. It is cold. It is outside. If your furnace is giving you any problemos at all, call our friends at Love Heating and Cooling.
24-hour on-call
John,
maintenance.
rest of the crew, 353-2141. Love-HVAC.com. This isn't a play, but I picked this just for you because we're best friends, and I know what you love. I know what you hate. And I know one of your true loves, like you're not really like a fan outside of Clemson. You're not really a fan anymore. I know you love yourself some Derrick Henry.
I do.
And I thought it was kind of cool. I thought it was actually sort of weird, like / surreal that they did this. But, you know, they ruined Jacksonville's season. That's all they had to play for. So they ruined Jacksonville's season. They knocked them out of the playoffs and take away that division championship. It was a terrible year for Tennessee. They finished in last place. But Derrick Henry had a huge game, 153 yards. He's going to be a free agent. And essentially, I guess, I don't know if he went to the Titans. I didn't follow this situation closely. I don't know if he went to the Titans and asked them to do this. He got on the microphone on the PA at the end and basically gave a farewell address to the fans.
Yeah.
And said, hey, thanks for everything. I appreciate you. I love you, whatever else.
Derrick Henry may say, you know what, I've had a good career.
Yeah.
This is it,
I mean, 8 seasons, which is weird to believe. I still think of him as a young player, don't you? And he's been around.
8 battering seasons, though.
He's had 6 straight years of double-digit touchdowns. He has 90 touchdowns in 8 years, which is crazy. Ran for at least 1,000 yards in 5 of the last 6, and looks like he's going to be moving on. I'd be surprised if he retired.
What is his total number of rushing yards?
9,000 and something. When you're that close, I think you hang on for another couple of years and get over the hump.
He's the all-time leading rusher in United States high school history, is he not?
He was at the time that he came out, because I remember that being a big deal at Alabama.
I mean, he
was from Georgia, right? And then he chose Alabama?
That's right. But I mean, you just look at him and it's like, that guy's coming at me full force.
And remember, it took him a minute. Like, I remember when like in year 1 and year 2, I was like, is this Ron Dane all over again? You know what I mean? And then, but when it came on, it came on big time. But I know he was always one of your favorites.
I do like the way he runs.
So,
I don't know anything about him personally, but he's been fun to watch.
Seems like a great dude.
He does.
I don't know. I've never. I don't get me wrong. I can't stand the Titans, but I've never had a problem with Derrick Henry. So it's kind of cool to see him kind of give that farewell address. For Love That Play.
Yeah, that's cool. And the fans there in Tennessee, Tennessee fans are actually pretty cool, to be honest with you. I know that they're a rival, but
Tennessee, Nashville is I couldn't believe how clean it was. It's a neat town.
It is.
We really enjoyed it, and we don't really drink, and we hate country music. So generally speaking, for non-drinkers who don't like country, you wouldn't think Nashville would be a fit.
Still a lot of neat things to do
but
there,
we had a lot of it's a lot of history. Tennessee is just a cool people. I like going anywhere where people are proud to be from there.
You know, our friend Creighton works there now.
People from Tennessee are proud to be from Tennessee.
Right.
Just like people in Indiana, I think, are proud to be from Indiana.
You know, Crate, our coworker, he's now in Nashville. Do you know
he got the call the same day that we got the call, which is almost 4 years ago to the day, January 14th. Not that I remember, 10:17 a.m.
Yeah, I called you and said, yeah, man, we got fired.
10:17 a.m. Call from Jake Query. And I said, what is he doing up? Are you fired? I don't think so, because I'm fired. So that means you're probably fired.
No, I said we're both gone.
What?
Because the first question I asked them was, is it me or is it me and Derek? And they said, it's like 3,000 people. I said, okay. I just remember them saying, you have to be in here by 10:30. And I said, are you going to fire me if I'm late? I said, well, that's a good point.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
You handle that better than I did. Because once I heard, I was, my life is over. Oh, my God.
I went home and actually muted your number for like 3 days.
Oh, God, because I was already divided. I was like, all right, where are we going to do the podcast? Who we calling? I'm calling sponsors. Like, I didn't sleep or eat for like 4 days. I mean, yeah. Rakestraw knows, because I was blowing up Rakestraw too, and I was...
Oh, I know. Greg and I had many a conference call with each other.
It was crisis when that happened. We come back. Not a crisis for Purdue. They take care of 2 critical wins in Big Ten play. Indiana gets a big win as well, albeit next to a really disappointing performance. We'll talk college hoop. And Michigan, Big Ten.
For now.
National. I mean, is anybody happy for Michigan besides Michigan fans?
They're champs for now.
We'll talk about that too. It's Corey and Schultz, ISC Sports Network.
IUPUI basketball is back. Come witness history with head coach Matt Crenshaw inside Indiana Farmers Coliseum and head coach Kate Bruce inside the Jungle as they usher in a new era of Jaguars athletics. Be there for exciting Horizon League and in-state matchups. Affordable fun for the whole family. Full season tickets are now on sale starting as low as $80. Order today at IUPUIJags.com/tickets or call 317-278-2530. Work hard, make noise, have fun. Go Jags.
At Bailey & Wood, we pride ourselves on our 5-star customer service. But at our core, we're a family. Family owned, and family to our customers, staff, and our community. From charity events to recognizing hometown heroes, we prioritize giving back to our communities that have always supported our growth. So let us help you get your dream home today.
Welcome back. Bailey & Wood presents Corey and Schultz, ISC Sports Network. Thanks for making us a part of your day, whether you're watching on ISC, maybe you're streaming us on YouTube, Twitch, Twitter X, Facebook, podcasts. So you can't even see us right now. Can't see my fancy dress shirt.
It's just X, right? It's not Twitter X.
I don't know, man. Like I think
It's
basically
so weird, right?
everybody's policy is to call it X Twitter because that brand recognition, it's still Twitter, right? That's how people think of it. But we appreciate you checking us out. The show's been doing really well the last couple of weeks. We track all the views and stuff like that. It's been doing good.
It is. I mean, kidding aside, you and I joke a lot. We're like, we're still doing this deal, right? People have been really good to us, and a big part of that is, of course, the sponsors that make it possible for us to do it. We mentioned Bailey & Wood and how proud we are to have them, believing in us to get their message out. Love Heating and Air certainly is in that same group, love-hvac.com. IUPUI, who we will talk about here upcoming. Chateau Kitchens as well, another one that's been really good to us. So we've had a number of sponsors, Hoagies, Hops, and Chili Water, it goes without saying. But we are happy to have all of them and certainly appreciative and want to express our gratitude towards everybody staying with us here in 24.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt about that. The show's not possible really without them. And then our great ISC crew, thanks to Vince. He's become basically the director of this show over the past year or so. Rake is the one that types all the little messages, the cryptic messages down there. That's 90% of the time that's Greg Rakestraw.
Usually they're the creative ones that are making fun of Derek. That's great.
Sometimes it's JD. When it's about the Orioles, then it's Jordan Shue.
That's right.
So we don't really let Jordan in there to do that anymore. Every once in a while it might be Sean Walker, but everybody here at ISC for this it's been a 4-year, 3.5 year, I guess I should say, partnership to this point. Let's talk college hoops. Big week for number 1 Purdue. They trounced Maryland. I know that's kind of a mediocre Maryland team, but still to go there and win is good.
Road win's a road win.
Survived a furious rally in a game that they largely controlled against Illinois. They've got a sneaky tough one tonight against Nebraska, who housed Indiana last
Nebraska,
week.
Let me tell you.
They're on the up.
Good guard play too, right?
Or they're on the come, I guess I should say. They're up and coming. They're on the come. And then they've got Penn State, who's one of the worst teams in the league on Saturday. Look, people melted down after Indiana's loss at Nebraska. And, suddenly it's, Mike Woodson can't develop anybody and all this. And I'm like, guys, you have nights like that. They had a terrible night. They came back and they bounced back at home.
But
and
Derek,
beat Ohio
I think
State.
the thing that was frustrating for Indiana about that Nebraska loss, Nebraska's a good team. And Nebraska got good guard play, right? But Nebraska beat Indiana because Indiana wasn't able to do the one thing that everybody and their brother knew they needed to improve upon in the offseason, and they haven't yet. And that's get good guard play, reliable guard play. Where is it? Whether it was, I know it's great that you get 5-star transfers and 5-star recruits and everything else. Where are the guys that can shoot the ball consistently from the outside?
Yeah, their 3 best players are bigs, right?
Yeah.
For the most part. Yeah, it's disappointing. It's disappointing that Xavier Johnson's never really, and he's had some injuries and things to deal with, but he's never really kind of recaptured. Remember the end of 22?
Yeah.
The 21-20. I mean, he was there. Besides Jackson Davis, he was their second best player. I mean, he was really good down the stretch.
But he's kind of feast or famine, though.
Yeah, and Trey Galloway is a great player to have when you could bring him off your bench.
Correct.
Or he's like your Chris Kramer type guy in your starting 5, or he's your 5th guy. And I think they rely on him probably a little too much. But I guess my whole point is that, Jake, I long ago accepted that Indiana is who they are. This is a team that if they make the tournament, this is a good season for them. I think that's all they are. Like the people that we're talking about, well, their ceiling is they can get into the 4-5 seed. I don't see that. Barring some sort of a miracle here. So you just want to kind of take a step forward here, and hopefully they end up doing that. And then Butler had a tough week. They lost to St. John's. They were really good and competitive against UConn, just couldn't make enough plays down the stretch. And ended
that league's
up
tough,
short.
man.
It's outside of DePaul. I mean, every single game really is a tough game in that league. It's a really, really good league, especially on the road. There's some really good road atmospheres in the Big East, and Hinkle is obviously one of them. But IU will try to solve Rutger tonight, who has given them all kinds of problems, and then they host Minnesota. But that Rutger game is a
Rutgers, Derek.
Is a big one against Rutger coming up tonight. College football playoff concludes, the last of the 14 playoff with Michigan's fairly one-sided win. I know that was a 7-point game at one point in the third quarter. It never really felt like
I felt bad
they weren't going to win.
For Washington, I felt bad because it felt like there were 5 different opportunities
to really make it
for them to kind of blow it open, and they just Michael Penix is a great player. He's been a dynamic player. He's been a fun player. He's a great story in his transfer from Indiana and overcoming the injuries, and he had a phenomenal year, phenomenal career. But for whatever reason, he was off. And I know part of that's Michigan's defense, but there were opportunities for him to make plays to just galvanize and jumpstart things for Washington. And, it reminded me as a Clemson fan of one of the years that Clemson played Alabama, or even the Clemson LSU game where they ultimately ended up getting blown out, was you just kept waiting for the offense to get going, and it would kind of spark and then just fizzle back out again, and it's frustrating.
Yeah, I think it was a great season, and Michael Penix was tremendous and probably should have won the Heisman, but he just didn't. He wasn't good enough last night, and they relied so heavily on him that he needed to be good enough for them to have a chance. But Michigan was just so physically dominant. This is Jake. This is the first time in a while that the best team hasn't been the team with all the flashy toys, right? Remember 2020 Alabama. With every
LSU.
Yeah, or 2019 LSU with all those teams just loaded at the skill positions. This is the first time in a while that Michigan won by brute force.
Yeah.
They were just physically dominant. Even against Alabama, they were physically dominant. And I felt strongly that they were the best team, and I wasn't sure it was particularly close all season, and that's what ultimately ended up coming to be. But, of course, this is going to be complicated because of the sign stealing and all of that. One thing that I think it does validate is that Jim Harbaugh is just an unbelievable coach. He's won everywhere that he's gone.
Yeah, for sure.
And look at what's happened to the places that he's left. I know San Francisco has since rebounded, but when he left, they had a 2-14 season not long after he left. Stanford, David Shaw kept it up temporarily, but they went in the gutter after he left. And now it appears...
And wait till what happens to Michigan once he leaves.
I would assume that we saw him coach his final game. And you wonder if Michigan also goes to him and says, hey, thank you for bringing us back. We actually won something relevant for the first time in 25 years. We don't want to deal with the headlines and all of that anymore. But I don't know. Maybe they say, hey, here's a 15-year extension.
Are you saying that they say it's time for vacation?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh, I see what you did there.
Yeah, see?
Yeah. Nicely done.
Yeah, thank you.
Good work. Appreciate that. We'll come back. Final time, IUPUI Jags report.
Okay.
Chateau Kitchen's Buy It or Bo Bleep as we wrap up this, whatever this is, episode 168.
Is it really?
Query and Schultz, ISC Sports Network.
Nice snap.
Mortgages and a snap. Duh.
Bailey and Wood, a lending hand for Wish TV Sports.
Hey, AC.
Nice snap.
Mortgages and a snap. Duh.
Bailey and Wood, a lending hand for Wish TV Sports.
Welcome, excuse me. Welcome back to Query and Schultz on the ISC Sports Network.
Yo, can we get that?
Yeah, what?
So,
how about this? Well, I'm in the middle of eating, and you're in the middle of eating.
Jake, it's Query and Schultz.
I have a winter cold.
You can take it back after one of these rejoins. It's ridiculous that I always have to do it while you're chowing away. I took a bite of this delicious shipyard.
Right. It's great.
And I'm like, you take it. And you're like, okay.
Then
Vince is like, 3, 2, 1. And the second that he says 1, you go.
Derek, I'm in the second half century of my life. I have a winter cold. How am I supposed to know when all of a sudden it's going to hit me?
Dude, you sound like me when I woke up on like a cold morning in 2003.
Well, I got news for you. It's a cold morning.
Smoking menthol cigarettes all night.
Well, I didn't do that, but it's a cold morning in 2024, right? So chug your little beer there, and I'll come back and say hi. Welcome to Query and Schultz on the ISC Sports Network. My name is Jake Query, and next to me is the granimal but adult-wearing Derek Schultz. And we have a lot to get to, including IUPUI, right?
Sanitize that mic, you guys. Time for our IUPUI Jags report. IUPUI. Life on the road is tough. As we know, we just mentioned it with Butler going 0 for 2 last week. So did IUPUI men's hoops. Lost to Robert Morris on January 4th. And then Sunday, they did take Youngstown State down to the wire, but they ultimately fell 75-65. Vincent Brady II, former Cathedral star, led the Jags on the road. Both games, 12 points against the Colonials, 18 against the Penguins. Jaguars on the road this week. Wednesday for their corporate business day game, or excuse me, home this week. Sorry, home. Corporate business day game against Green Bay, 12 p.m. Wednesday. And then Saturday, the Jags will host Oakland at 2 p.m. for their annual Favorite Professor game with a giveaway of pint glasses to those in attendance.
Who's your favorite professor?
Professor Summers. He was Psych 101 at IU, and I think his first name was Philip, and he had been there for 100 years, and he asked, it was like a 350-person lecture hall, I want a picture of each student. You have to come to my office and give you a picture and tell me something about yourself so I can remember you. And so I gave him a picture with me and my prom date, which is what I had in my wallet. Nicole Peloso, super
The fact
hot.
that you were in college carrying around your prom date picture in your wallet is a little something.
Jake, this was September. I had prom in June?
Okay.
Or whatever. So I was like 3 or 4 months removed from that. She went home early that night, though, which
She wasn't feeling well?
sucked for me. I had some big plans. And
What was her name?
Nicole,
Where's Nicole now?
married, and she's got a couple of kids.
Facebook stalker?
No. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, she actually, I don't think we're friends anymore on Facebook, but her profile's still public.
Okay, sure.
So you just check in. It's not stalking. You check in once in a while. Can we get back to the report?
Yeah, sure. Why did you
Get
like
back.
it?
Happily married. What we were talking about IUPUI basketball,
Professor
right?
Summers.
Yeah, Professor Summers. Yeah, it's great. And I don't know. There was a personal. It's hard at Indiana when there's 800,000 people to make a personal connection with your professors. I didn't really have that.
So he remembered who you were?
Yeah. So we had that personal connection, and I would go back to the psych building later on and say, "Hey, Professor Summers," and the whole deal. And we'd run into each other on campus, and he would remember me by name. Hey, Derek. Even though I got like a C+ in his class, and I completely screwed around.
I would imagine, psychologically speaking, you probably were a dream.
Oh, it was
client, right?
great guinea pig for him, for sure. First contest of the new year, the women's team defeated Detroit Mercy in OT, 81-76. Katie Davidson recorded her second 30-point game. 30 points. Damn. Jasmine Turner added a season-high 21, pulled down 8 boards. Jags have a 2-game homestand this week. Games Thursday against Wright State, which is a pint glass giveaway game. Sunday versus NKU, foam finger giveaway at the Jungle. School day game January 31st as well for the women's basketball, so they're inviting schools to attend. If you want to do that, send our friend Lauren an email at lgronke, Gronke, so just like Gronk, but with an E on the end of it, at iu.edu to register to cheer on the Jags.
Okay, L. Gronke.
Yep, at iu.edu, January 31st, school day game, women's hoops in the Jungle. We'll mention this again in future shows this month, but wanted to plug that one.
That's very cool.
Yeah, very, very cool. Want to plug our friends at Chateau Kitchens as well, at Chateau Kitchens, where you can find your before and after pictures on Instagram and Facebook of their beautiful
And not pictures
remodels.
of Derek naked.
Well, shirtless, maybe.
No.
They might have kept some of those. I'm not sure if they put those on their IG or not. But Chateau Kitchens can take care. There it is. Chateau Kitchens can take care of all of your basement projects. They can't always make you this beautiful. Some of it has to come natural, but they're going to try their very best and try to maximize your space and make it as beautiful and handsome and rugged and sexy as they can. ChateauKitchens.com if you want to check that out. First statement, Jake. Colts should absolutely bring back Gardner Minshew as their QB2.
I thought yesterday on the radio show that I do on The Fan, Jimmy Cook, who I do the show with, made a very good point, and that was that with Gardner Minshew now, you know what the ceiling is. So if Anthony Richardson's going to go down, Minshew, is that a guy that's going to get you to the promised land? Probably not. So I think you explore it because he's been a valuable backup, but he does have a shelf life at backup. So as a result of that, with shelf life comes ceiling of expenditure. I think they put a number out there and they say, we'll give you $4 or $5 million a year, but if somebody's going to overpay you beyond that, then thank you for your service.
Yeah, first off, I think somebody else is going to pay him, so I don't think the Colts are going to be in that
Hard to
discussion.
argue that.
I don't think you bring him back. I think you thank him for the service and all of that because he couldn't make the throw that he needed to make, honestly, on Saturday night, which would have potentially saved and at least continued your season. So for all the good he did, when the game was on the line, you needed him to make one play. He couldn't make it. I'd rather take a flyer on a fourth, fifth, whatever round guy and see if there's something there. Everybody's going to be looking for that next Brock Purdy now, right? And so that's, I think, the route that the Colts ultimately choose to take. What happened? I must not have saved the file because I don't have a second or third here for Bite or Bull Bleep. I'm pretty sure I had something NFL wild card weekend. I think it was Kansas City is still the toughest out in the AFC. Bite or Bull Bleep. I think that's what it was.
Yeah, it's Bull Schultz.
Yeah.
Toughest out right now might be Cleveland because of their defense, but Buffalo's in the mix. But Buffalo,
I think Baltimore's really good.
You got to wonder if Baltimore's really good. Yeah. You got to wonder if if Buffalo hasn't run out of steam. You know what I mean?
I wonder if Miami's run out.
Okay, how about this?
Is Miami ever going to beat? Did Miami beat anyone worth anything this year? And
fair.
Should we go back and look?
How about this, Derek? Bite or Bull Schultz? This year's Super Bowl winner will be a first-time champion.
Ooh. So I've got Buffalo, Houston, Cleveland, Super Bowl champion, not NFL champion.
Correct.
Yes.
Detroit.
That's it to choose from? Yeah. No, I'll take the field over 4 teams. But I kind of like that field. I mean, I like Houston, Cleveland, Buffalo, and Detroit. But no, I'll take the field because the field is San Francisco, Dallas, Baltimore, Kansas City, right? But yeah, that's not a bad one. That's a good attempt at a Bite or Bull Bleep. Thank you for contributing to the show.
Thanks.
I think Greg's gonna get mad at me because I think we went way over. I don't know. Yeah, okay, we got to stretch it out. How's your day?
Hijacked? How's that? Hijacked? How's that?
How's your week going?
Greg and I were in here. We have to breakfast this morning.
I know we
got in here waiting for you.
I know we talk on the phone a lot, and I feel like I get updates on your life. But just as we're sitting here, is there anything on your heart that you want to share?
Boo threw up yesterday.
Oh no!
Yeah, first time.
On your mattress on the floor, or where did he throw up?
On the hardwoods.
Okay. That's better, because usually animals find like the one piece of carpeting or the one place you don't want them to
I gave him a little piece of, I was eating, and I gave him a little piece of people food, and he liked it. He ate a little fast, and it came back up pretty quickly.
What was he eating?
Turkey.
What were you eating? Oh, just like lunch meat turkey?
Yeah, I guess it's bad for him.
Is it really? I used to give my cat that all the time.
Yeah, well, Boo didn't like it.
Yeah, Fluffy lived 22 years.
Okay, well.
She had a lot of lunch meat turkey.
I'm a little worried about Boo's weight.
Okay.
I'm trying. I'm putting him on.
Yeah. So it's kind of the anti-you. Yeah. Thanks to all of our great sponsors, Chateau Kitchens, Hoagies and Hops, IUPUI
worried about my
Athletics,
weight too. Thank
Chili
you.
Water Brewing, Bailey and Wood Financial Group, our friends at Chateau
Shipyard's
Kitchens, and who am I missing? Anybody? Love Heating and Cooling as well. Thanks to Vince, Greg, everybody else. He's Jake. I'm Derek. We'll see you next time. Happy New Year for the 500th time here on Corey and Schultz.
Santa good to you?
ISC Sports Network.
IUPUI basketball is back. Come witness history with head coach Matt Crenshaw inside Indiana Farmers Coliseum and head coach Kate Bruce inside the Jungle as they usher in a new era of Jaguars athletics. Be there for exciting Horizon League and in-state matchups. Affordable fun for the whole family. Full season tickets are now on sale starting as low as $80. Order today at IUPUIJags.com/tickets or call 317-278-2530. Work hard, make noise, have fun. Go Jags.
At Bailey & Wood, we pride ourselves on our 5-star customer service. but at our core, we're a family. Family owned and family to our customers, staff, and our community. From charity events to recognizing hometown heroes, we prioritize giving back to our communities that have always supported our growth. So let us help you get your dream home today.